Hey guys, welcome back to After Hours Automotive. I know it is long overdue. Um, Been super busy. In case you guys didn't know, we're at a new location now, which I know you won't be able to see because it's at night. But I finally bought my first house, so I'm kind of being able to set my garage a little bit how I'd like it, and finally got myself somewhere comfortable, not in a rental place anymore where doing mechanic work is kind of sketchy. Speaking of moving into a new house, my 4.5-year-old pit bull just killed my neighbor's tiny little dog today in my front yard. I really hate that for him. And I hate it for him because I had to beat his ass, but either way. But yeah, I know you won't be able to see this for nothing, but got a little more space here to do some things with. But been super busy moving, just plain moving all the stuff. I had to prep the old house for to give back to the rental company, and then on this one I got here and the decks weren't staying and didn't look in very good condition, so I wanted to get something on them before that became my problem in a couple years. And so that took a couple days, and then moving took a couple weeks to get all my junk, automotive junk, regular household junk, and the trailers and all that good stuff moved over. But I finally got it set up here, and so I'm looking forward to some more content. Well, today I've got a couple things on my hands. This old Expedition here, 05 Expedition, is not wanting to shift into overdrive and dealing with the broken lock clip, all that good stuff. Whole bunch of stuff going on. But tonight I wanted to bring you guys right here to check out on this. You guys know I've been working on my 89 4 Winds Freedom 170. You guys see this on the channel all the time. 2.3 liter Mustang engine. Well, we've pretty much rebuilt this whole thing top to bottom, and over the course of weeks we kept blowing radiator hoses and couldn't figure out, or I thought they were just maybe poorly made and couldn't see what was going on. Realized that it was building a lot of pressure in the cooling system at some point, and then eventually after abusing it, knowing that there was a problem, I was able to find that there's a blockage in my cooling system. Now, before I show you that, I have to say that came after we had a swelling coolant hose and overpressurized, and but it never ever heated. It just had a lot of coolant pressure, and so I had to go all the way and pick up this guy from Tennessee, because one day we had been building all that pressure and it wasn't overheating everything. Well, one day all of a sudden all the pressure disappeared and it started overheating, and this all happened all at once. Well, the culprit of that was this water pump right here. If you can see, there's no shaft there. There's supposed to be a shaft coming out of this hole for the water pump, and that connects into right there, and it snapped off. So we immediately started overheating and lost coolant pressure and all that. And in order to get this shaft, you can go online and buy one brand new for $400, or I spent one day driving and went up to, I'm leaking oil all over the place there. Went up to Tennessee and picked up a whole outdrive from a guy used for $300. And to me, that just seemed the way to go. Instead of having to rip my outdrive apart and press those shafts out of it and all that to replace that water pump shaft, I would just put on a new outdrive. Well, I found out why we were building all that pressure and why it eventually snapped that shaft. And that is this exhaust flapper. Now, this guy is up right under your exhaust riser, and it has these little tabs, and it rides on a metal rod, and it keeps you from getting whenever water washes back into the exhaust, it shuts so that the water doesn't wash back into the engine. And wherever it has exhaust coming out, it opens. Well, these things are plastic that ride on that metal shaft. And sure enough, all the horror stories I've heard, I didn't want to believe it, and surely wasn't going to take the outdrive off until I absolutely have to, which ended up costing me $300 because I had to go get another one. And it was the only one I could find anywhere in this area. So I don't expect, if I have to do that again, for it to be easy. But it was lodged right down there in that exhaust plumbing. I mean, it was wedged so tight, and I ended up having to break a piece off with these long pliers. One side of them's long anyway, and was able to break that piece off and get it out of there. But that looks like what was causing a lot of my problems. We had this issue before, which I don't know if I mentioned it too much in depth, but the boat would run for long periods of time, 30-45 minutes, and then after doing a long stretch, it would want to rest and wait and wait and wait, and then it would finally start back up. And I'm guessing it was having to leak that pressure out of there when that thing was really binding up. So I'm gonna get this outdrive on there. If you guys want to see videos of all this taken apart and all that, I've got plenty of videos of working on this boat, and you can look into all that. But this should be pretty straightforward once I order my gaskets, slap it back together, and see how everything works. Hopefully everything flows, no overheating, and we'll be good to go. Lots of content coming for you guys. You know, I'm always working on something. Now I've got a home to do some DIY projects. I wanted to get into the staining project and what all I had to get into that, but there's plenty of that stuff out there, and there'll be a lot more to come about what I'm doing with this property. I definitely want to build a retaining wall right here, which is going to end up being 15-20 feet high. That's going to be a difficult DIY task. Have to get codes involved and all that good stuff. But anyway, on your OMC, old OMC boats, don't give up. It's harder to find parts for them now, and that's good and bad because people are getting rid of the whole boat cheap. You can salvage parts from it, and some of them, like this guy, just had this outdrive laying around that they had taken off of a boat at some point, and you can see where they clearly just cut the back of the boat off with a sawzall. And I was able to get, which this was why I purchased this instead of that $400 shaft, because I was able to get these cylinders, the trim pump I have somewhere around here, over there under that shelf, new steel braided lines for the trim, new shift cable that's intact, new propeller. I mean, my outdrive, the first time I used it, looks like somebody got this one a little bit, but first couple times I used it, I didn't put the trim up and wore that slap out. So if this thing moves the boat, then I'll have a pretty decent confidence in it. You know, $300 versus $400 for one tiny part, and you have to buy a bunch of other parts to even be able to use that part. So yeah, if you got a cooling system problems, specifically over pressurization, and we pulled the thermostat out and all kinds of things trying to fix this, but this is your exhaust riser, and you'll find that flapper like right here in this pipe. There's a rod going right back and forth right there when you take all this off and pull your riser off. And if that flapper isn't there, it's probably long gone, but not too long, because it's going to be right there blocking up your, and I'll tell you mine, because on this pipe, this thing has little holes in it. I don't know if I'll be able to get, yeah, it has little cuts in the bottom of it to where the exhaust can come out. But my flapper was stuck all the way at the back to where it couldn't even come out the pipe, much less, I mean, if it could have made it to those little slits, then it would have come out, but it was stuck further up in the pipe, so it was literally just blocking it all off. So we'll catch you on the next one. Don't give up on your OMC boats. It's a good old 89 4 winds, And my buddies actually went camping last weekend. I went out and met up with them for a little while, but one of my good friends was saying he didn't have the boat that week because obviously all this, and he was like, I was sitting out here looking at all the boats going by, and I was kind of thinking, like, your boat is pretty nice compared to what I'm seeing out here. I mean, you got your $100,000 yachts and such, but as far as little boats, I mean, they're either little tiny shitty fishing boats or, boats are expensive. Boats are expensive. I looked at something just in comparison to this, a Four Winds 2019 model Four Winds that's, same size. It's 18 foot because they don't make a 17 anymore, but $34,000 for a bare bones boat, and it really is just hard to see having to make a payment and going into debt over something you use half the year and let it sit the rest of the time. So I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty satisfied with what we got going on here. I might end up $4,000 into this boat, but hopefully after this we won't have much more problems. And well, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Hard right. Gotta have Jack Daniels, always. Scott's over here cutting wood. This is our makeshift fire pit.
Bacon and eggs and biscuits on this here fantabulous fire. Alright guys, be sure and hit that like button if you like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment if there's anything you'd like to see in the near future. Thanks. See ya.